you still do this?
Oh, that's you know, yeah. So you got to start on an up. So I got to
So that's where the E minors come in. The chorus starts with the E minor. Yeah.
Well,
that's
I
okay.
haven't played this.
Yeah, I know. That's, you know, we haven't talked about it in a year or two probably. You know,
oh,
so
but that's good.
That'd be a good one to resurrect.
Yeah,
too,
I looked at that a couple months ago actually.
Oh, okay.
I actually did look at that.
Good. And you know, with a song like that, yeah, this was really good.
Well, I should have left that though.
Yeah, that's, you know, anyway. Be good with a song like this to try to hear the chords more than remember what they were on the page. You know, like I think sometimes when you're trying to think of what happens next, you're trying to visualize what happens next, not whether it was on the page or whether what your hands did. And this song, like a lot of their songs, is a little bit more complicated. Is a lot more complicated than like Brown Eyed Girl or Teach Your Children, or where the 1, 4s, and 5s just always keep coming in the same sequence. Mm-hmm. And so that sound, it, you know, that's what it sounds like. This is getting, I guess, maybe a little out there, but that's what it sounds like to get when you're on chord 4. It's not the chord that pulls you back to 1 the strongest, which is what the D is in this, in chord 5.
Right.
You know, so it's using 5 as a stepping stone to get away from 1 and land back on the other one of the big 3, kind of. And then the second time around, or the second phrase of that, the fact that the way that the melody there kind of gives it away. Do 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 do. Now that when it gets to that point, 5 is the chord that sort of matches that, but the melody then does the exact same thing as what it just did on 5, but lower. Now, you hear that? It started. It actually started high. Then drops down. And so that dropping down between from the second chord to the third, which was when we went to D, is the same that's the relationship between chord 5 and chord 4. So the melody dropped and matched exactly what it did to over the same chords. You know. Yeah, so on the G chord, it starts up here, starts on E, but then on the D chord, it starts on B, and then on C, it starts on A. See, 1 below B, which is where the melody started. So sometimes trying to make those connections, you know, rather than just where do I remember seeing my fingers go. Now, in the beginning, in the chorus, you got to just remember that it launches off to E minor. I know from where it could be coming from G. And what you should be able to hear right here, it's going someplace. When it gets there, it's back home. I missed this chord. So that was a wrong chord, but it still landed back on G.
Right.
And so you also want to try to hear that. When does it come home?
Right.
You know, in this case, turns out E minor was wrong. And now you should hear there's another minor chord coming up, just because of the darkness or gravity of the. Now the song could, and then again, this could have been going away from G. Now, that's not how it went.
Right.
Okay, but you could hear that A minor to C. Now, that is what happens later. But the first time we hear A minor to C, it takes a detour and goes to something other than 1 that kind of resolves, but doesn't resolve the way we expected. And that's eventually how the song ends, is on an E minor to end with this kind of question mark rather than coming back than the typical country ending. It'd be the equivalent of doing something like this.
Right.
You know, and that's it's called a deceptive cadence in musical, you know, hobnobbishness. But it basically means resolving when you at a spot where you think it's going to resolve to 1. It goes to a chord that can substitute for 1, which is the relative minor, which would be chord number what?
6.
6. So 6. The relationship between 1, 4, and 5 is really such that from if 1 is here, 4 is 4 above it. There's 2, 3, and 4, right? Mm-hmm. And it would be up here. And 5 is actually the same distance down.
Mm.
Okay? If I'm here at 1, I'd be 7, 6, 5. Okay? So 4 and 5 are the same distance away from 1 in opposite directions.